How can you sit there and watch it all burn? That's the question that a lot of Kaizer Chiefs fans are asking about Dr. Kaizer Motaung Sr. And I will say to you, he has actually done the three things of the four that he needs to do. And the fourth one, when he finally does it, which we'll talk about later on in the video, then we're definitely going to see a change of direction in Kaizer Chiefs. But what has he done? Number one, he has obviously sat down and looked at the club and said, what are the problems? Do we lack resources? No, we don't. Look at the village. Look at our training facility. We play at FNP Stadium, so there can never be, oh, our field is not maintained properly. No. You also look at, when we talk about resources, financially. No, we have a lot of sponsors, so that means there is money coming in to Kaizer Chiefs. Also, people are going to say, oh no, but we don't have enough money to go and buy all these expensive players. To which I will say, let's name the best Kaizer Chiefs players who have played in the past 30 years. And the people that you are going to count off the top of your head is one, just recently, Spiro Shabalala, Melenkune, Dr. Kumalo, Thabo Muki. Wait, what do all those guys have in common? They all come from Kaizer Chiefs development, which means in terms of resources, producing players from the development, we don't have a problem with that. We have the resources to even develop those players in the first place. So it's not resources. Even if it wasn't working for us in terms of going out to spend in the transfer market, our development is still good enough to produce good players who are going to do a lot for Chiefs. You even look at the recent development players that we sold, then we got more resources, financial resources. Unjabulo Plum, no Siyabonga Ngezani. Where do they come from? The development. So our development is doing a good job. It's just that it links with this next problem. Ineffective coaching. Because we have players who are coming from development, and lucky for Ngezani and Oplom, when they came up, one, there was Gavin Hunt was willing to give them a chance, and we're in a transfer ban. But in general, Gavin Hunt does give young players an opportunity. But number two, when they were in development, they were with Atazwane. They come to the senior team, he comes to the senior team. And he also happens to coach them. So that's a bonus. So you see that when we have the players transitioning well from development to the senior team, it works quite well. So we've addressed the lack of resources. We don't lack them. But what we do lack is in terms of the coaching. So what should we do about that? We are going to talk about that later on. Number three is, are there external factors? The first one is that people jump and say, oh no, obviously Mamelodi Sundowns are buying all the players that Kaizer Chiefs wants. And I will say that's not true, because there are a lot of other players that were wanted by Kaizer Chiefs that Sundowns did not want to even sign them. Yet it seems like it's always Sundowns who take away players that want to sign. We have players like Abo Evanga who have come out and said he was about to sign for Kaizer Chiefs. In fact, he had agreed to sign for Kaizer Chiefs, but then Kaizer Chiefs changed the deal, and then all of a sudden everything broke down. Was Sundowns involved? No, they were not even involved. There are other deals that broke down that where Sundowns were not even involved, but we keep on just involving them as an excuse. But there are other problems that are beyond Mamelodi Sundowns. Is the competition even tighter now? Not really, because we've had Abo Black Aces who are now Cape Town City. Even Ajax Cape Town, before they got relegated, they were on fire for some time. You've had team come up and go down, but Chiefs is still just hanging around there in the 5th spot. So competition is not getting any tougher. The only team that seems to be getting better and better than the rest is Sundowns, but everyone else is still the same. But are we finishing second at the very least? No, we are not. So that shows you that it's not that other teams are now harder or they are much better. That's not the case. But what is the case is the fact that there is poor management. Which leads us to point number two. What has he done when he realized that there is poor management? And one of the first things that the doctor, the founder of the club, has done is the fact that if you see Kaizer Chiefs, they are so well positioned in terms of having these networking opportunities. You have Abokev going to Chiefs. going there. And Chiefs is just recognized by a lot of people, a lot of clubs in African football. Yet, we're not really signing these big players from these other clubs in big teams in African football. Why are we not doing that? Because clearly Jessica has made these relationships with these guys from these other clubs, and yet it's not happening. Because the excuse that we keep going back to is other clubs don't want to sell to Chiefs. But you have 5 foreign sports. That's literally half the team. Ne? So if you can have the 5 best players from outside of South Africa, or just get only Africans, only 5 Africans from the best. You get one from Yanga, you get one from Simba, you get one from somewhere in Egypt, you get one from somewhere in Morocco, one from somewhere in Algeria. 5 of the best players in Africa, bring them to Chiefs, who are obviously not wanted in Europe, because in that case, we wouldn't have a chance. But the point is, if we're not using those networking opportunities that the doctor has afforded the team, then how are we ever going to escape this? Oh, Arrows doesn't want to sell to us, right? So the resources and providing assistance to the club and providing assistance to the sons and the daughter, it's clear that the management that we have is actually not taking advantage of the legacy that their father has built. And what they've also done, what the chairman has done, which is beautiful, is the fact that in hiring coaches, they always check whether the coach is qualified enough. Even Utuzwane, they made him go through the studying process until he got his UEFA Pro license, UEFA A license. But just because a coach is qualified, that does not mean they are good enough for Kaizer Chiefs. And I'm not only referring to Zwane, because I'm also referring to coaches like other guys, Abu Solinas, that they brought to Chiefs. I know people will say, oh, Solinas was good, Pilo just wasn't given a chance. But what I'm saying is, if a coach is going to come to Chiefs, knowing our fan base, it must be a coach who's going to hit the ground running. Because if they don't, our fans are not patient. They will kick you out the moment you come in. So that means, as much as we've been getting coaches who are qualified, but in terms of hitting the ground running and winning things like the one that we're calling a plumber, that even our sporting director laughed at, Jose Rivero, hit the ground running and won the cup for Pirates, and then Kwapelu Klek. So what I'm trying to say is, we have been doing these things and meeting some criteria, but there's always been just a hole, and then we're like, we missed it. We signed a qualified coach, but he hasn't won anything. So then it's pointless. Number 3, leadership changes. We saw the reshuffling, Upobi being moved to team manager and the sporting director becoming Kaizer Motaung Jr. Jessica fully in the marketing world, and she's doing a very fantastic job. The problem is, now in doing those reshuffling and all of that stuff, is the question that he would have asked himself right now is, the people that have reshuffled and put in the positions that I've put in currently, are they actually good enough to do it, or am I putting them because they are family? And this is where things get tricky, because Upobi has been telling us that this is family business. And why he would keep on saying those things with confidence is because he knows that he will not get fired. Gubu. He's still going to be there in discussions about everything that is done at the club. And even Kaizer Motaung Sr., knowing that he's not going to be around forever, he does not want to make decisions that are going to leave his kids fighting. He wants to leave them being a family, being united. But if he fires Upobi and say, you are not good enough, you can benefit, I will write you on my will, but you are no longer involved in anything that is concerning the club, that's not going to go down well with Upobi. Or if it does that with Jessica, or if it does that with Kaizer Motaung Jr., it's not going to go down well with them. As such, there are decisions that are not made based on this is what's good for football, this is what's good for business, but they are also made considering the fact that we are a family. And that's where things become a lot trickier. Which leads us to point number 4, which is now, as much as now there are family dynamics and you want to keep the people, your sons and daughters in the club, at the club, How about in addition to the people who are already at the club, you add other external people, right? So you will still have these people within the family, within the business, but bring people, external people, who, if they don't do their job, you won't hesitate to fire them. Because it's easy to just fire a coach because, well, he's a coach, we fire him, he's an external person. But it would be just as easy to fire a sporting director who comes in and does his job uninterrupted, and yet he still fails. Then you're like, he's not good enough. You're gonna fire that person because the relationship that you have with that person is purely business. You have an expectation that you have to meet. We have to do this by the end of the season. If you don't meet that criteria, you are fired, right? But with family being involved and only family being there, then you are also just making things tricky. And another thing, this is not just about family as in blood family, but it's also an extension of family. And I know I'm not meaning extended family in a sense that it's the cousin or so and so, but I also mean the people that you already consider family. Take for example about Gerard Sbego, about Atazwan. They've been at Chiefs for a very long time, and at this point they are considered family, which means whatever that they do wrong, it's not just, oh, he's an employee, he did something wrong, you are done. But it's, he's a brother, he's been here around, so we're lenient with what he does, even if he's not doing the things very well. I'm using those two as an example. I'm not saying those are the toxic potatoes or whatever at Chiefs. No, I'm saying that there needs to be someone who's gonna come in from Slovakia, a completely unknown person, and be a sporting director, because that person is also not gonna be influenced by ukuthi ngikhulele Soweto, I know lentwana kaMamu Maria, he's good in Khosi, and he's a good kid, he goes to church on Sunday. No, it's not about that. It's about, are you good enough to play for Kaizer Chiefs? Okay, sharp. We can get you and promote you to the development side. From the development to the senior team, we need to find players not based on Nyamaz, Inganega Sismir. No, we're not doing that. So I think that once Kaizer Chiefs really considers bringing in external people to run the footballing side of the club, then a lot of these problems will be solved. Well, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Well, there's a comment section for that. And if you've watched to this point, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, remember, equals and pelumo.